When it comes to the offenses of tax-paid government thugs trying to silence free speech in the United States, the only way more proverbial shoes could drop might be if an earthquake hit a cobbler's shop. You can get ready, my friends, because there are new revelations that expand our understanding of how vast the government censorship industrial complex could be. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRCTV, and here's the story. Even as the Biden administration keeps running its FBI and cybersecurity and infrastructure security agency, CISA, push to make social media platforms remove pro-liberty posts until the moment the Supreme Court rules in the MRC v. Missouri suit over just that kind of unscrupulous activity, and even after numerous investigative reports from MRCTV, Matt Taibbi, Michael Schellenberger, Alex Gutentag, and more, the U.S. government appears to have been working another set of levers to silence us. These levers involve people inside and outside the government, many of whom went back and forth. They involve Google and Twitter and appear to have sought to target not just social media, but the ability of pro-liberty Americans to engage in banking and in publishing on Amazon. It's a monumental amount of research put into concrete form in a massive 6,800-word report at Schellenberger's Public via Substack, at Taibbi's Racket via Substack, and released in segments on Schellenberger's X account, starting with a powerful May 23rd introduction. The Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, is the most famous of the 18 U.S. government agencies that comprise the intelligence community, IC, of the United States of America. Unlike the Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI, the law strictly prohibits CIA employees or contractors from spying upon or running clandestine operations against American citizens on U.S. soil. One should note here that the United States Constitution doesn't sanction the existence of the CIA, and that the Fourth Amendment prohibits any clandestine spying on anyone, foreigner or U.S. citizen. But now, a new Twitter Files investigation reveals that a number of the board of trustees of the CIA's mission-driven venture capital firm, otherwise known as In-Q-Tel, folks, and ostensibly former IC and CIA analysts, were involved in a 2021-2022 effort to take over Twitter's content management system. The effort also involved a longtime IC contractor and senior Department of Defense R&D official who spent years developing technologies to detect whistleblowers called insider threats, like Edward Snowden and WikiLeaks leakers, the proposed head of the DHS aborted disinformation governance board, Nina Jankowicz, who aided U.S. military and NATO hybrid war operations in Europe. And Jim Baker, who, as FBI General Counsel, helped start the Russiagate hoax, and as Twitter's Deputy General Counsel, urged Twitter executives to censor the New York Post story about Hunter Biden. That's a good picture right there, and of course, names such as James Baker and Nina Jankowicz are infamous, and they already have been cited for their efforts to silence us and portray factual, pro-freedom information as foreign propaganda or dangerous to public health. But Schellenberger, Taibbi, and Gutentag expose much more, including the public-private, otherwise known as fascist efforts of these political cronies to get PayPal to debank dissenters and to get Amazon to shut our economic and publishing doors. These existing or former IC employees, contractors, or intermediaries weren't satisfied with simply controlling Twitter. They also wanted to use PayPal, Amazon Web Services, and GoDaddy in a totalizing effort to deplatform, demonetize, and excommunicate from the internet entirely those individuals that the IC et al. deems to be a threat. Indeed, it's not just the revolving door of government employees' ties to corporations like Twitter or their friendships with Google executives that cause alarm here. Simply looking at one figure, Jankowicz,
it's how you hide a little lie, it's how you hide a little lie,
offers great insight into the links the intelligence community has with non-profit think tanks and two international conflicts in which the United States has been deeply involved. Conflicts such as the US-connected proxy war in Ukraine. In April of 2022, the Washington Examiner exposed Jankowicz's ties to the corrupt Steele dossier to trigger unconstitutional spying on Donald Trump, but the paper also exposed her connections to the Ukrainian government, the leftist Wilson Center, and the Fulbright scholarship payout system. Quote, Nina Jankowicz, who was a disinformation fellow at the Wilson Center and advisor to the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry as part of the Fulbright Public Policy Fellowship, confirmed a report Wednesday that she has been named executive director of the Department of Homeland Security's new Disinformation Governance Board. And Jankowicz's ties to domestic attempts to silence us weave together with efforts of other intel community cronies. Schellenberger reports that on June 11, 2020, Jankowicz released her book, How to Lose the Information War, in which she argued for fascist speech controls. Quote, in her book, Jankowicz compares the lack of regulation of speech on social media to the lack of government regulation of automobiles in the 1960s. She calls for a cross-platform and public-private partnership. So whatever actions are taken by Google, Facebook, and Twitter simultaneously. Fascist Mussolini, eat your heart out. But Jankowicz's points, they would just be opinions offered via freedom of speech in her book, ironically, if they weren't connected to this government corporate think tank scholarship nexus. And this is where the web widens. Exponentially, by the way. It widens to reveal evident fascist connections to the Intel gang and a piece-by-piece construction of a political censorship complex. Writes Schellenberger regarding Jankowicz's book, quote, the Biden-Harris administration can and should take up many of the solutions outlined in this book, she writes. If the West is to win the information war, it needs a whole of society response, like the US and NATO used in Eastern Europe. She praises a NATO cybersecurity expert for having created a center of excellence. If that term sounds familiar to close observers of the censorship industrial complex, it might be because Renee DeRista of the Stanford Internet Observatory in 2021 promoted a center of excellence in a Department of Homeland Security video she recorded in which she made the case for the Disinformation Governance Board. Jankowicz would later briefly head that up. 1 year later, Jankowicz would work with an anti-disinformation consulting firm to Twitter staffed by former IC analysts. Its name was Alethea Group. Here, Matt Taibbi offers key insights at his Racket site. In late December of 2020, Zatko asked Twitter employees for visibility into their security arrangements. By the day after the Capitol Hill riot on January 7, 2021, as reported in public, Zatko recommended that Twitter hire an outside contractor. I feel an external investigation may be quite valuable, he said in a Slack chat. I'd recommend, you got it everybody, Alethea Group for the disinformation angle. Alethea was an interesting choice. At the time, only just founded in 2019, some of the firm's initial capital came by way of a $10 million investment by Ballistic Ventures, led by Ted Schlein and Kevin Mandia. Schlein, a general partner at Kleiner Perkins, sat on the board of trustees of the CIA's venture capital firm, you got it, In-Q-Tel. When asked if In-Q-Tel funded Alethea Group, Schlein told public, This is a question either the company or In-Q-Tel should answer, not me. It gets more suspicious. Schellenberger reports that Alethea Group just happened to start hiring former CIA hacks. On January 28, 2020, a little-known teen and young adult book publisher released True or False, a CIA analyst's guide to spotting fake news by Cindy Otis, a former CIA analyst. Otis would be hired by Alethea in 2021, and indeed, they hired Jankowicz in the summer of that year as well. And in 2022, Alethea secured a $10 million investment from Ballistic Ventures, whose general partner is the aforementioned Ted Schlein. Schlein, quote, provides counsel to the U.S. intelligence community, serves on the board of trustees at In-Q-Tel, and was recently named as a board member of the CISA Cybersecurity Advisory Committee. It's all connected, and it's vast. And it's filled with feedback loops and what appear to be special favors. And it all pushes the idea of coercing or incentivizing social media, banking, and more to silence and debank us. What I've offered is just the tip of the proverbial iceberg, or one shelf in that proverbial cobbler's shop. For all of this spy novel-like tale, I suggest that you read Mr. Schellenberger's and Mr. Taibbi's reports, and please remember that as the feds overtly continue to see the FBI and others try to censor us until MRCTV v. Missouri is decided in the Supreme Court, these backhanded corporate government efforts likely will continue behind the scenes and beyond the ruling. It will be up to us to sound the alarms about them as we get more information and to inform others of the corruption often funded with our tax cash. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please like and subscribe. Remember, on Rumble, they don't censor us, so please follow us there and share the videos far and wide with as many people as you can to get out information like this. You can find us all the time at MRCTV.org. That's MRCTV.org. And while you're there, please visit the MRC Store and consider contributing to the Media Research Center. Doing good work, the whole team there, and of course, we welcome your contributions. You can also find us on Facebook, on Twitter/X, on Instagram, and on TikTok. And if you want to find me on Gab, I'm at Gardner Goldsmith, and on Twitter, I'm at Gard Goldsmith. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.
I want to invite you as my guest on a very special, once-in-a-lifetime, 7-day post-election cruise in the Caribbean. It's going to be a blast.